Hello students, welcome to online classes of stock and commodity market. And as we all know that we have completed 3 units in the syllabus, so totally we have 5. So the fourth and fifth unit is related to commodity market and derivative trading in the commodity market. So in these 2 chapters we are going to cover commodity market aspect. So this is fourth unit what I am going to teach you all today in this particular lecture. So commodity market, so we have discussed about commodities and commodity market in the very first chapter under introduction chapter itself. So commodities are those physical goods which can be bought, sold or traded in different kinds of market. So commodities are it may be raw materials which are used to produce or manufacture the finished products, or it may be even the food products or finished products which are used by the consumer. So both capital goods and consumer goods here we are talking about, which can be used as commodities for trading purposes in the regulated manner. So that is what the purpose of commodity market. So if we are talking about types of commodities, there are 2 types of commodities: soft commodities and hard commodities. The agricultural goods are and allied products like livestock also. Allied means the dairy products also come under soft commodities. Hard commodities are all the natural resources like metals, minerals, and ferrous and non-ferrous metals, crude oil. All these will come under hard commodities. So after looking into that, the term commodity refers to any material which can be bought and sold. So any commodity which can be purchased and which will result in the monetary transaction which is actually movable. So property other than the actionable claims, money or security, then we have to call it as commodity, which means commodities includes, there are 4 categories of commodity, which includes the energy resources. Crude oil, heating oil, natural gas or gasoline comes under energy resources. Metals, both ferrous and non-ferrous metals like precious metals, gold, silver, platinum, all these will come under that. It also includes the aluminum, copper, lead, nickel, tin, zinc, etc. So these metals and minerals are more demandable commodities in the industrial sector, which will be used as raw materials for manufacturing commodities. Then the third category of commodities are livestock and meat. So livestock is the meat of various animals which are also traded in the commodity market. The fourth commodity is very, very important because India being an agricultural country, the fourth category what we are going to talk about is agricultural commodities. Agricultural commodities, both cash crops and commercial crops as well as food crops are used in the commodity market. Food crops like corn, soybean, wheat, rice, cocoa, all the food grains, pulses are demanded in the commodity market, purchased, bought and sold in the commodity market. Similarly, even the cash crops like jute, silk, cotton, all these are also in greater demand. Even coffee, sugar, soya bean, soy milk, all these are the cash crops which are also used, bought and sold in the commodity market. Why the commodities are important? See, as we know, every economy, irrespective of its level of development, whether they belong to less developed countries or developing countries or advanced countries, the commodities are required on day-to-day basis for every individual. So every individual demand different types of commodities, and statistics show that 27 less developed countries are the commodity exporters, especially that belong to agricultural commodity sector. And there are certain countries like, say for example, Arabian countries who are rich in the energy resources like crude oil, and which are also demanded in the rest of the world. So those commodities are also traded in the commodity market. If we are talking about the natural resources which are not equitably distributed in all the countries, so some countries are enriched with these natural resources, it may be metals or minerals which are nature based, and some countries doesn't have this. It does not mean that they don't require those metals. They are also dependent on that as raw materials. They are using it as a raw materials in the organizations for in the manufacturing sector. So for that reason, it is very essential those commodities need to be exported or traded in the commodity market. So due to all these reasons, it is very essential. The commodities are important and it should be regulated properly without any malpractices, without any fraudulent transactions, without any no cheating in the between the buyers and sellers. So it is very essential. It should be properly regulated, and that is the purpose of commodity market in any country. So commodity market, it is a place where the commodities, the four different categories of commodities what we just now discussed, agricultural commodities, metals and minerals, livestock, as well as the energy resources. Those four categories of commodities are traded. That place is called as commodity market. Here there are various factors that are influencing or affecting the commodity market trading. So first factor is risk and returns. So as we know, the risk associated with commodity trading is bit high. The reason why I'm telling you here as high, because the volume of transaction in the commodity market, especially if we are talking about metals and crude oil and precious metals, which is scarce in nature, for example, gold. So those commodities are demanded worldwide. Investment in these metals or the precious metals or any other commodities which are highly valuable are always greater in demand. Plus the availability of these natural resource based commodities are unpredictable in nature. So due to this reason, investment in the commodity market is always risk associated. And as an underlying rule in investment strategy, whenever an investor takes higher risk, definitely he can also think about higher returns. So usually people like to go for higher. If anybody is interested to go for earning higher returns, definitely they have to take maximum risk associated with any kind of investment. So here the first factor affecting commodity market is risk and return. So here one who is ready to take the risk, they can also enjoy the returns and vice versa. The second factor is trading, clearing and settlement mechanism. In the commodity market, trading, settlement and clearing mechanism is very systematic because it is always under the direct surveillance of Forward Market Commission, which is a regulatory body. So as it is completely systematic, professional, and also it is regulated by FMC, the trading, clearing mechanism, and also they use the sophisticated technology for the quick trading, settlement and clearing mechanism, and they are also using derivative trading under commodities due to scarcity and unpredictability in the commodities. Many of them are interested in trading in the commodity market. Then demand and supply. So commodity market is basically based on market forces of demand and supply, because always it is not possible to have a no uniform kind of demand or supply, because demand will fluctuate depending on the requirement for the commodities in various sectors of economies. So sometimes it may be more demand for agricultural commodities, sometimes it may be higher demand for crude oil or the energy resources, sometimes it may be for livestock, or it also based on the demand is based on the geographical regions as well. Because if I are talking about India, like as we know, like the demand for crude oil is going down day by day because of this lockdown situation, which means that the demand for crude oil, even though it is one of the most important indicator in the market, as it is not demanded, so the value of that particular commodity is deteriorating over a period period of time. So like that, demand will fluctuate frequently depending on the requirement of the commodity. Similarly, the supply of the commodity, as I told you earlier, it is unpredictable because the commodities what we are talking about here is all physical commodities, which is most of it are nature based. See, if we are talking about energy resources, so it is again the natural resource. If we are talking about metals and minerals, again natural resource. Agricultural commodity is quite seasonal, it depends on so many factors. Even though India is an agricultural country, two-third of the population depend on agriculture, but still the income that is generated from agriculture sector or agricultural productivity is also deteriorating over a period of time. So supply of the commodity is unpredictable because the total productivity of that particular commodity cannot be expected or predicted that they are going to get always uniformly in the commodity market. So keeping these 2 points here, demand and supply, suppose if the demand for a particular commodity increases in the commodity market, if its supply deteriorates, that is less or scarce supply of that particular commodity, leading to increase in the prices of the commodity. On the other hand, if the demand for a particular commodity deteriorates, the supply of the commodity either it is maintained in the same level or it increases, leading to fall in the prices. So both demand and supply is a contradiction, which is leading to have an impact on the prices of that particular commodity. So that is one more important factor or indicator in the commodity market. The best example in this situation, we can take crude oil because it is going down. If you take gold, the value of gold is uncontrollably increasing in the gold market. So that is also one of the factor which you can take here. The next one is global and domestic economy. So whether the commodity is traded within the country, that is only within the national limits, or whether it is traded globally, also depends on the performance of the commodity market, because certain commodities are not so very highly demanded at the international level, but at the same time some commodities are worldwide demanded. So again, I am quoting the same example as crude oil, because all the countries of the world require petroleum products, so they are demanding crude oil globally. So the demand for such commodities will be very high. It is going to act as a key indicator for such commodities because it is demanded at the international level in the commodity market. Then domestic economy is always dependent on these kind of parameters. So as we are also dependent, like suppose if we are talking about Indian economy is dependent on the world economy, because ours is also a globalized economy where we are also demanding so many commodities, not only in the national sphere but also from the international sphere. So that also depend on the performance of commodity market. Level of economic growth. Every country's economic growth also determines the performance of commodity market. That is because higher the economic growth, higher will be the trading in the commodity market, higher will be the returns even in the commodity market, and vice versa. Inflation. So inflation also determines the prices of the commodities. Higher the inflation, leading to fall in the values of the currency, leading to increase in the prices, and vice versa. So higher the prices, higher the inflation, higher the prices, leading to fall in the demand for various commodities. As a general rule, according to Alfred Marshall, what demand theory states, other things being constant, the quantity demanded for a commodity varies inversely with the prices. When prices increases, demand comes down. When prices falls, the demand for the commodity increases. So that is also one of the factor. Then geopolitical concerns, geographical issues, or any political changes in the political policies of the government, or any regulations that is done by the government, all these things will also affect the performance of commodity market. Then we have extraordinary events as a factor if we are talking about any unforeseen contingencies, like say for example war or enmity between the countries, or it may be the natural calamities, and now the corona issue is going on worldwide. It has become an international issue. So all these are considered to be unpredictable, unforeseen events which may even either fall or increase the performance of the commodity market. See, all these natural calamities are going to deteriorate the performance of commodity market, and similarly some of the positive events in the economies or in the world leading to prosperity in the commodity trading. So here prosperity refers to increase or positive trends in the performance of the commodity market. Speculation. So even speculation, because as we know, like the commodity based on the predictions, the trading is going to happen because of scarcity in the commodities and more fluctuating prices. So even that is going to affect the performance of commodity market. Next topic is importance on role of commodity market. So you may get either of the question, either state the role of commodity market or importance of commodity market. For both the questions you have to write the same answer. So what is the first role of commodity market? It is so efficient in portfolio diversification. You can buy any commodity. There are 4 categories that just now we discussed, like agricultural commodities, energy resources, metals and minerals, livestock. So each and every commodity can be represented in the commodity which comes under these category can be represented in the commodity market. So it is possible for the investors or the buyers or sellers to sell or buy or to invest into any kind of portfolios, because there are wide range of commodities that are available in the commodity market. So it is more convenient for them to trade in any commodities. Then big market, diverse opportunities. It's a very big market that we are talking about. It is beyond our imagination, the size of the commodity market if we are talking about, because it acts as a place where almost all the manufacturing sector purchases the raw materials and resources which is required for manufacturing the commodities in their organizations. So it is providing very good diverse opportunities for every purchaser as well as seller and investors to participate in the commodity market trading for dealing in various commodities, either both in the spot market as well as in the derivative market. Then exploitable fundamentals. It is quite positive that it's so convenient and easy for the investors to invest or buy or sell the commodities from the commodity market, because it is very convenient. So global opportunity for every buyer, seller and investor. Commodity market is providing global opportunities because there is no restriction to trade within the national boundaries. It is also possible to have the global trade where the commodities can be purchased from any part of the world. So hedge against inflation. So hedging refers to the position in the future market. Exactly, if you are talking about this, that the opposite to the position in the physical market with the objective of reducing or limiting the risk associated with the price. So basically hedging is mainly for the purpose of reducing the risk associated with investment. So here we are talking about hedge against inflation. The concept of hedging is more prominent in derivative market, futures and forwards in the commodity market. As I told you earlier, as the volume of trade transaction in the commodity market is very large, it is very essential to minimize the risk, because they want to save some amount of money. Like instead of spending and shelling out the money that they have, they would like to buy it at a very low price as a law of demand, as I told you earlier. So they are going to adopt the concept of hedging in order to beat the inflation in the commodity market. Then physical delivery of goods, not a compulsion. So here sometimes commodity trading involves the physical delivery of the goods. Suppose if any industrialist is buying the raw materials from the commodity market, definitely it involves physical delivery of the goods. Suppose if the crude oil is purchased by the particular organization, say for example Indian Oil or some other organization who are dealing with that particular commodity, definitely it involves physical movement of the commodities. But it is not only that, it is also possible to act as a mere investment for the investor, which will not involve physical delivery of the goods. It is just a mere investment and returns. So as a part of investment, if we are talking about, suppose if I want to invest in the gold market, I am not buying the gold in physical sense, but I will be investing in gold exchange traded fund, where I am just investing in the gold market, and performance and my returns on my investment is going to be based on the performance and price fluctuations in the gold market. So in this illustration, there is no physical movement of the gold for the investor. Then players in the commodity market. So I told you about hedging. So one who are involving in this kind of, that is one who adopt the strategy of hedging, they are called as hedgers. So that is, they are the speculators who are going to involve in the commodity market. Then speculators, which we have discussed in the previous chapters. So speculator is one who is going to predict the prices for the assets or the commodities, on the basis of which they will try to minimize the risk associated with the investment. Arbitragers, simultaneously buying the commodity from one market and selling it in the other. The difference between the buying and selling price is the returns what he is expecting. That is what the arbitragers are going to do. Farmers, so it is also a place for the farmers. They can bring their agricultural commodities to sell, so they act as sellers or buyers, even sometimes if they want any hybrid varieties of the seeds or the crops for their farms. So here farmers can also participate or act as players in the commodity market. And EXIM traders, definitely exporters and importers, they are going to participate in commodity market for buying various commodities or selling, act as an exporter. So they also can sell the commodities which is required by the importers. So these are various categories of players in the commodity market. Then the next topic is advantages and disadvantages of commodity market. So if you are listing out the advantages, leverages are the advantages. See, leverage is the returns, the investment in the commodity market, which is done by the investor on the basis of the debt that he borrowed from somebody. So here he is minimizing the risk associated. So sometimes even if he is not having money, it is possible to borrow the money and invest in that, and it is possible to minimize the risk associated with the investment. So commodity market provides that opportunity, and there are people who are ready to provide this kind of facility to investor. So commission cost is comparatively less. That's theoretically as one of the advantage. If we are talking about, we have to say the commission cost is comparatively less in the commodity market. Liquidity, it is highly liquid. The commodities can be purchased and sold. It may involve physical delivery of the goods, or it may not even involve physical delivery of the goods. So it is highly liquid, which can be easily converted into cash. So ability to go start. So it is possible for all those who are interested to invest in the commodity market, to enter into commodity market for trading purpose. Then disadvantages of commodity market, same leverage. So there are price fluctuations. So it may lead to higher risk for the investors. Then speed of trading, sometimes it will be very high and very fast, or it may be sometimes slow. That also will definitely disturb the performance of commodity market, which will result in the risk in the form of losses to either buyers or sellers. As I told you earlier in the beginning of this chapter, the trading in the commodity market is controlled by a regulatory body which is called Forward Market Commission. So Forward Market Commission
was established in 1953 under Forward Contract and Regulation Act of 1952, and it consists of not less than 2 or 4 members appointed by central government, and the headquarters is situated in Mumbai, and this is a financial regulatory agency which is looked after by Ministry of Finance. So Commission allows commodity trading in 22 exchanges in India, out of which 6 are national commodity exchanges. The importance of this particular commodity exchange is to advise the central government in respect of any other matter arising out of forward contract. See, any commodity trading issues that will be advised by FMC to central government according to the rules and regulations that are given under FCRA. Then to keep forward markets under observation, so as a regulatory body, it is their responsibility to look after the performance of the commodity trading. If at all the trading slows down, they have to give some strategies or adopt some strategies in order to boost up the performance of commodity market and vice versa. So they have to look after even the inflationary situations. They have to look after even any malpractices or fraudulent transactions is happening. So they have to maintain the transparency in the trading activities. All these things, and even prescribing policies for the markets, commodity market to perform, everything is under the control of Forward Market Commission. Then they can also make the recommendations in commodity trading to buyers and sellers and investors, and they are also undertaking the inspection of the accounts and documents of the commodity exchanges. So there are so many commodity exchanges, just now we discussed. So all these commodity, especially if we are talking about NCDEX and MCX, so those two are very prominent commodity exchanges in our country, and it is very essential for Forward Market Commission to observe the performance of these commodity exchanges in India. Okay, so now we are going to discuss different commodity exchanges. So what do you mean by commodity exchange? So it's a place where different categories of the commodities are bought and sold. So it is providing a platform for both prospective buyers and sellers of various commodities to buy and sell in a regulated platform. So the regulation is from Forward Market Commission, so which is a regulatory body for commodity market. So first one, the commodity exchange that we are going to discuss is multi-commodity exchange. So it is shortly called as MCX. It is the first listed exchange in India, and it is this commodity. It is more prominent for commodity futures. So it is a demutualized and independent commodity exchange with the permanent recognition from Government of India. So the vision of MCX is to provide a platform for trading in commodities, especially in the derivative trading. So the exchange will continue to minimize the adverse effect of price volatilities, providing commodity ecosystem to participants with a neutral, secure and transparent trade mechanism. So as the title itself says, multi-commodity exchange, there are various types and categories of commodities that are traded. It includes gold, silver, bullions, minerals like aluminium, copper, nickel, iron and steel, etc. It also provides platform for agricultural commodities like oil and oil seeds, that is the cooking oil, pulses, grains, spices. Then it also provides place for plantation crops like cashews or rubber, betel nuts, coconuts, coffee. All these are also traded here. And even the fibers like jute, cotton, yarn, all these are also provided an opportunity to trade. And not only that, it also provides opportunity for pharmaceuticals products as well as energy resources. So the title multi-commodity exchange is more suitable for this particular commodity exchange because it is providing opportunity to almost all the categories of commodities in India. it became demutualized, and electronic multi-commodity exchange in India was started in 2001 in order to provide a platform for all those investors who are investing in the commodities. Plus, it is also providing an opportunity for the quick trading, settlement and clearing mechanism. Then next commodity that we are going to discuss is National Commodity and Derivative Exchange, shortly called as NCDEX. It was formed in the year 2003, which was promoted initially by ICICI Bank, Life Insurance Corporation of India, then National Bank for Agricultural Rural Development, that is NABARD, then National Stock Exchange, that is NSE. It was also promoted by Punjab National Bank, then CRISIL, that is Credit Rating Information Services of India Limited. It is a public limited company incorporated, as I told you, in 2003 as a national level technology driven online commodity exchange with an independent board of directors and professionals not having any vested interest in the commodity market. It is ensuring the wide spectrum of commodity derivatives driven by the best global practices, professionalism and transparency in the country. So Forward Market Commission regulates the NCDEX, that is National Commodity Derivative Commodity Exchange, which is also subjected to various laws of the land like Companies Act, Stamp Act, Contract Act, as well as Forward Contract and Regulation Act of 1952. Then apart from these two, we have few more commodity exchanges listed, that is listed in this particular slide. That is National Multi Commodity Exchange, NMCE. So it is promoted by commodity relevant public institutions. So the public institutions like CWC, NAFED or any other which is given here. And similarly, we do have Indian Commodity Exchange Limited, ICEX, which is a nationwide screen-based online derivative exchange for commodities and has established a reliable, efficient and transparent trading platform. See, if you see any commodity exchanges, whether it is NMCE or ICEX or NCDEX or MCX, every commodity exchange is providing online trading platform for commodity exchanges because the volume of trading is very large. Wide range of commodities are traded worldwide. So it is very essential to ensure it should not be a rigid time driven trading. So they have to give flexibility and also to ensure transparency in the trading mechanism for quick settlement as well as trading mechanism is also essential. So for all these reasons, most of the commodity exchanges have adopted all these latest technology based trading activities in order to provide flexibility and transparency even in the commodity trading. So this one we have already finished. Commodity exchange is an association or a company or any body corporate organizing futures trading in the commodities for which licenses has been given by the regulating authority. See, commodities, trading in commodities, there are two types of trading, spot trading and forward trading or future trading. So spot trading is not very prominent in commodities because one reason is the volume of trading is very high. Then second reason is the supply of the commodities cannot be predictable accurately. So due to even the demand cannot also be even predictable. So because of these three reasons, in commodity exchanges, commodity trading in derivatives is considered to be more important. So here even in this particular slide you can see that corporate organizing futures trading in the commodities. So commodity exchanges provide platform to commodities trading, especially in the derivative trading. So role of commodity exchanges, first of all, it provides investors an opportunity to invest in the commodity for hedging, that is for minimizing the risk aspect in the commodity trading, and it is a way for derivative market. There are four types of derivative trading, we all know, that is forwards, futures, swaps and options. So trading in derivative is a platform provided by commodity exchanges. It also provides various commodities for buyers. So it is acting as an intermediary for buyers and sellers of various commodities under its platform. Then moving on to the next topic, that is commodity derivatives. So as we have studied that commodity derivatives are very prominent in commodity trading, so we are going to study in detail about what is commodity trading under derivatives. So a derivative is a contract, is an enforceable agreement between two parties, that is buyer and seller, where the value of the contract is based or derived from the value of its underlying asset. The underlying asset can be a commodity, stock, precious metal, currency, bond, interest rate, index, etc. So any underlying asset that we have listed it here can be included under derivative contract. So there are four types of derivatives: forwards, futures, options and swaps. So here we are going to discuss about the four derivatives. So first one, let us start with forwards. A forward is a contract, is a non-standardized contract between two parties, that is buyer and seller, to undertake an exchange of the underlying asset at a specific future date at a predetermined price. So it's a bilateral agreement whose terms are negotiated and agreed upon between two parties. So as we know, under forward contracts, the price, quantity of the commodities are determined between buyer and seller on the day of entering into contract, but it will be executed on the future date. So that type of contract is called as forward contract. So features, if we are referring to, it's a contract between two parties is seller and buyer. Price is decided today, so prices of the commodities will be determined between the mutual agreement between the buyer and seller. Similarly, quantity is also decided between buyers and sellers on the day of entering into contract, but settlement will take place sometime in future. So that sometime is the future trading, that is derivative trading that we are talking about. So no margins are generally payable by any parties to each other when they enter into forward contract, which is more unlikely if we are considering to futures contract because it expects margins. Then similarly, forwards have been used in the commodities market since centuries, as they are also used in the forex market as well as forex market when they are swapping two different currencies. So it is more convenient and more flexible form of derivative trading compared to futures trading. So but even though it is so much flexible, it is not free from the limitations. So first one is the counterparty risk as a limitation. So there is counterparty risk, that is either the buyer or the seller have to undergo losses because it may be profitable only to any one party, either buyer or seller, in the agreement if they execute the order. So price is not being transparent because the price is determined between buyer and seller at the time of entering into the contract or agreement between them, but there will be price fluctuations that is happening, so it may not be so very transparent because it is not decided on the commodity exchanges, but it is decided by either buyer and seller at the time of entering into agreement. So that is the reason why it is not considered to be so very transparent. The next derivative type is futures. So futures is an agreement made between two parties. So here agreement between two parties, a buyer and seller, to buy or sell a specific and standardized quantity of a commodity at certain time in future at a price agreed upon at the time of entering into contract on a commodity future exchange. Futures trading is more systematized compared to forwards because it is traded on the regulated exchanges, and the terms of the contracts are standardized by the commodity exchanges only. Price is negotiated between the counterparties, that is buyer and seller, but it is discovered through offers and bids process in the commodity exchanges. That's the reason why the price, even though they negotiate at the time of entering into contract, they are going to take the prevailing price in the market, which is unlike forwards. Then features, it is a contract between two parties. Then it is a legal exchange, is the legal counterparty to both the parties. Price is decided on the current day or on the day of entering into contract. Quantity decided in the current time period as per the specifications decided by the exchange. So neither the buyer nor the seller will have freedom to choose the price on their own or quantity, but it both price and quantity will be decided and has to be accepted and negotiated on the basis of the specifications mentioned in the commodity exchanges. So there will be tick size as well. So tick size is the minimum amount by which the price is quoted, which will be decided by the exchanges. The major reason why the commodity exchanges control all these quantity, price, etc., the reason is to minimize the counterparty risk associated with commodity trading, which is experienced in the forward contracts but not in the future contracts. Then delivery will take place, delivery of the commodities will take place in future, because we are talking about futures here, futures trading, derivative trading. So even though quantity, price and everything is decided on the day of agreement, entering into agreement between the buyer and seller, the date of execution will be mentioned in the agreement and as per the specifications on the exchange, which will be executed on a future date. Then margins are payable by both the parties to the exchange. So margin is a good faith of deposit that a market participant posts with the exchange clearing house. Think of margin as a down payment on the full value of the contract that traders are paying for the purpose of trading only. So that is what the margin, so which will help them to allows the exchange to become a buyer for every seller and seller for the buyer. So paying margin merely converts a person into either buyer or seller here. So that is mainly to minimize the counterparty risk associated in commodity trading because of heavy volume of trading that is happening in the commodity exchanges. So it is more standardized, more controlled. It may be even it is considered to be more rigid also, because that's one of the limitation what we can talk about futures, because under forwards both buyer and seller get more flexibility to decide on prices and quantity, but in case of futures, even though they can negotiate, but it should be as per the specifications in the commodity exchanges, plus they have to follow the prices and quantity as per the standards that is determined in the commodity exchanges only. Then limitations, it is it lacks flexibility. That's what I said, it's more rigid compared to forward. Number of contracts fixed in a year. So for both buyers and sellers, the contracts is predetermined. Only the numbers that is determined as per the specifications in the commodity exchange they have to follow. So they cannot go beyond the restriction that is prescribed by the commodity exchanges. Futures are always through only future exchanges only. So they cannot trade in from any other commodity exchanges. If they would like to enter into futures contract, they have to enter future commodity exchanges only. That means the commodity exchanges which are dealing in the futures trading. Margins are required. I have already explained it to you. So both the buyers and sellers have to pay a minimum percentage of margin in order to minimize the counterparty risk associated with commodity trading as a mandatory requirement in futures agreement. The next third type is options. So option is a contract that gives the owner the right but not the obligation to buy or sell an agreed amount of commodity on or before a specified future date. So each option contract will have a specific expiration date by which the holder must exercise their option. So as stated earlier, price on an option is known as strike price. So strike price is a minimum price below which it is not possible to negotiate either by buyer or seller. So that at that price where they agree on to buy or sell the commodity or underlying asset or commodity. So there are two types of options, call option and put option. Call option allows the holder to buy the asset at a stated price within a specific time framework, any underlying asset. So put option allows the holder of the asset to sell at a stated price within the specified time frame. The fourth type we have is swap. Swap is an agreement between two parties to exchange sequences of cash flows for a set of period of time. So under this kind of contract we can see more, this kind of contracts or swap agreements are more popular in forex market, foreign exchange market. It is more common even in the currency market, because that's what forex market I meant to say, because it is more prominent for a financial asset than any other asset. So here a commodity swap is also present, which means two parties to exchange their cash flows. Here the commodity what we are talking about is the cash flows which will be exchanged between buyer and seller on or before a specific date based on underlying value of the commodity, that is currency, stock or any other asset. So swaps are not exchange traded instruments, but they are usually designed by banks and financial institutions. So there are various types of swaps. Usually on regular basis we are going to discuss interest rate swap, and which is called as plain vanilla interest rate swaps, and also currency swaps. So first one under that is interest rate swap, where it is also called as plain vanilla swap. So interest rate swaps are the agreements in which one party to given a flexibility to swap its fixed interest rate payment for floating interest rate payments of another. So here they allow two parties in the exchange, fixed and floating. So fixed, under floating it allows one party to change it from fixed to floating rate. Then currency swap. So if the agreement is to swap currencies of debt service obligation, then it is called as currency swap. Currency swap offer efficient way to hedge the forex risk. Then we have commodity swaps. So commodity swaps are more common among the individuals and companies who use the raw materials to produce finished products. So that kind of swap is called as commodity swap. Then credit default swap. So it offers the insurance in case of default of the third party borrower. So they are called as credit default swaps. Zero coupon swaps is almost similar to interest rate swap, which offers flexibility to one of the parties to swap the transaction. In a fixed to floating zero coupon swap, the fixed rate cash flows are not paid periodically, but at just once at the end of the maturity of the swap agreements. Then we have total return swap. Total return swap gives the investor the benefits of owning the security. So here under this particular contract, the total return payer and the total return receiver. So the payer usually pays the total return of an agreed security to the receiver and receives a fixed rate of payment in the exchange. So it is more prominent in the bond, index, equities, trading in equities, loan or commodity. Then bottom line swap. So it's a contract where it can be easily customized to meet the needs of all the parties. They offer win-win agreement for parties including the intermediaries like banks and facilitate the transactions. So the participant should be aware of potential pitfalls because these contracts are executed over the counter without any regulations. So both the parties will have a win-win agreement, so the risk associated with swapping can be minimized. So there ends your 4th unit. Thank you.